Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish.
So today we're going to talk about, we've been talking all week about connecting the dots with habit. And if you remember that, we talked about the trigger habit and really, or how the trigger helps to really create and to solidify the habit in just days, not days and days and days and days, how important that was. I don't know what day that was. It was sometime this week. It could have been Tuesday. Not sure. And then we've been working all the way through on connecting the dots with certain things that can help you to really get in the weeds and get what it is that you want done and connected. If we don't connect to it, it doesn't happen. You know, we have to, it has to have a little bit of a reason why, and it has to also resonate. It has to resonate. That's all. You know, it's so interesting. Remember when we talked about the high vibe tribe and we had high vibe week or whatever it was that we had, I guess it was high vibes 1 week. But the whole thing about it, what does resonate mean? Resonate is like the sound, and it's connecting with that sound, that vibration, because all sound is vibration. And when we connect with that on a higher level, you know, the resonation is like, yes, it lands. Yes, I connect with it. Yes, I feel it. Yes, I hear it. Yes, 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 all the way. And when we connect, it's just so much easier to do, isn't it? It's so much easier to say, yes, I can do this. Yes, I can add this into my life. Yes. We say yes to connection all the time. And we need the connection, obviously, with everyone. We need the connection with people. We need connection in our community. We need connection with the habits that we're doing. We need connection with all the different things. But you know what the biggest one is? Connection with yourself. Connection with yourself. Not just yourself, but your higher self. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever given that a lot of time? You know, I think about this, I do think about it myself, because I think, well, what is it? What is it about my higher self? Who is my higher self? You know, we talk about our higher selves, but do we even know who she is? So let's talk about that, because this is about connecting to your higher self. That's exactly what this is all about. It's Soulful Saturday. It is appropriate. I think that's, you know, part of the whole thing. But your higher self, I believe, is part of your knowing, part of your intuition, the connection and beauty of your soul, the reflection of who you truly and deeply are. It is about the part of you, I believe, that hears God, because the rest of us are too big. You know, the rest of us is not. It's too busy, too, you know, out in the world, too crazy, running from one thing to the other. But our higher self connects with God all the time, because listening, looking, hearing, listening, wanting to hear, wanting to see. That's what our higher self does. Our higher self is that woman with a great, big, huge, full heart of empathy. And I think, you know, so I've said this very much, that empathy is so missing in today's culture. You know, it's like slap down. We talked about Simone Biles the other day and how all the trolls came after her. It was just really sad, you know. But, you know, empathy is something that is nurtured and is a part of you, and it's part of your higher self as well. The wisdom is nurtured and coddled and warmed and fed with your higher self. I believe that with all of my heart. And also, this is the part that has the unconditional love, because, you know, unconditional love, that's tough for us humans, isn't it? But it's not tough for God. I mean, he is unconditional love. Well, if we're connected to God with our higher self, then unconditional love is a whole lot easier. Not as easy as it may be for him, but perfect and all that. And then there's the whole creativity side of your higher self. Because, our lower self, if you will, is the one that goes sliding into all the problems, all the things, all the angst, the struggle bus, the hand wringing, all of those cuckoo, crazy stuff. But not your higher self. Are you kidding? No, your higher self is all about creative solution. Your higher self vibes higher. Your higher self is seeing that and not all the other garbage. Because we've talked about that too. When you're in that lower level of vibration, if you will, you're not looking for a solution. You're looking to just keep going and keep talking about the problem ad nauseum. Keep focusing on that. Keep explaining why you can't fix it and what the obstacles are, and you just don't understand. Have you heard stuff like that before? Have you said stuff like that before? That's not our higher self. That's our lower self. It's just too hard. I'm on the struggle bus. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you don't have to get on the struggle bus. You don't have to purchase the ticket and get on the struggle bus. You can say, I'm having a struggle here, but that's a temporary thing. It's an action. It's a part of. The struggle bus is a place where people go to live. They take their baggage with them and hang out. It's not fun. But the other part of your higher self is this is your whole self. Your whole self. Flaws and all, but your whole beautiful self. This is where we can view ourselves with that beautiful lens of understanding that we're whole and beautiful just the way we are, just the way we are, without losing the weight, without, whatever it is that you feel like you need to do in order to be the way you want. But the beauty is in our wholeness, and our wholeness is in who we are with our flawness. Yeah? Wholeness and flawness, they go together. And I feel like this is really our true nature, is our higher self. But we get so busy with our lives that our true self, our true higher self, is pushed to the side. And that part of the yard doesn't get watered, doesn't get cared for, doesn't get nurtured the way. And I believe that the first way that we can even get there is to first acknowledge that it even exists, that that's even who you are, and that part of yourself is your true self. I just think that this is the most incredible thing. And by the way, this is your center. This is the center of who you are and what radiates out from you. So I believe that, as we start to think about this, as we start to connect with this, that there are ways that we can definitely do this and purposefully get on the path of really discovering our most beautiful self, our higher self, so we can connect with her a whole lot more than the frantic, crazy struggle bus self, because our beautiful self, our higher self gets it already without having to be explained to or, seek at all, because the connection's already there. If that makes sense to you. It does to me. I mean, I'm sitting here like, I love this stuff. It's ooey gooey and yummy, isn't it? It really helps us to understand and get into the weeds a little bit about who we are. So first things first, what do you think the first thing is that we need to do? A lot of times it's just to be quiet. Just to be quiet and to hear. Are you one of these people that has to have something constantly on, or like a radio or a TV or something? I've had a couple of friends who said, I just need to have a little noise, keep something going on in the background. And I was just like, it's a disruption now. Quiet is beautiful. And quiet is necessary. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I'll put on the music. I'll groove to some Al Green. I will dance with you. I'll play music loud. Go to concerts. Love it. But there are times for the quiet. Sarah says she was hoping Steph1 was to be loud. That's funny. No, it's to be quiet, actually, and just be quiet and just enjoy the quiet and hear the quiet. Where I live, which I pretty much consider paradise, hearing lately, just listening to the frogs, the tree frogs, has just been amazing. And then the frogs down at the water, and then the quiet. And Lisa said one of my favorite Bible verses, of course, from Psalms, is to be still and know that I am God. That stillness allows the dwellingness of our higher self and our connection with God. That stillness does. And that's what quiet is. It's a blessing, and it's very hard to find anymore. Very hard to find. So that quiet, and Joanne says, I cherish my quiet mornings. I do too. I love it because, I get up first. I make my coffee. I've shared my routine with you in the morning. Feed the dog. And I finally got little Lincoln, he's my Lincoln project, but I finally got him into the place of sitting down with me and chewing on, he has antlers. He chews on these big antler things that we get from Amazon. And it's just the best thing ever. He loves it. And it gives me that peace of quiet. Otherwise, he's constantly, let's play, throw the ball, do the tuggy, all that stuff. But I finally got him into that place. So I just sit there and just have some nice quiet. That's when I meditate. And he's sitting there chewing on a bone. But it's fantastic. And the quiet just facilitates that whole thing. It's just a pin drop around here. I also open up all the windows and the slider and everything. You hear the wind whistling, kind of rippling through the trees, and maybe the frogs are still going. If it's a little dark outside still, it's beautiful. And it's meditative, it's contemplative. It is that part that feeds your soul, that quiet. And number 2 is meditate. The studies that have been done with meditation and what it does for your body and how it calms things down. It was one of the first things that I reluctantly had to get into as I was getting my Hashimoto's into remission. I believe part of all autoimmune diseases have something to do with some kind of a stress factor, something that came in and triggered kind of a cavalcade of symptoms and things happening, and your blood pressure, everything changes. Your body chemistry changes with stress. It's a proven thing. We know that it's not good for you ever, or any of us. We don't want to talk about stress. We don't stress isn't fun. I don't want to talk about stress. I want to talk about weight loss and, beautiful skin and these are the things that we look, give me the hack, give me the shortcut, give me the thing that's going to do the thing. But really what it is that center of who you are getting centered back into that place. Because as much as you might be connected with your higher self, it's always a constant homing back into your higher self. And we do that with meditation. We calm, we connect, and we just breathe differently. And we bring our blood pressure down and all the things, everything comes coming down, coming down, coming down. And have you noticed that beauty of connecting like that? Have you felt that deep connection with yourself? That's your higher self. That's checking in with really who you are. And number 3 is to pray. There's a lot of different ways to pray, by the way. There is. And some of it can be just with, you can do it with your breath. You have breath prayer. Look that one up. Google that one. It's beautiful. Monks used to do that years and years ago in monasteries. And breathing and just, you can have a constant prayer. I used to prayer walk all the time when I was pregnant with my kids. I prayer walk, and I would have my hands on my belly as I was walking and praying for my babies when I did that. So that prayer walking, looking out on, I look out on my lake and I look out on there and I just gratitude and prayer and thanksgiving and all of it. It just adds in. It adds in. And again, it's connecting with God. And that's your beautiful self. That is your higher self, just loving back and appreciating and adoring, and you're getting it back from him. You know, that's the kind of cycles we want to see. If you remember, we talked about this week, is that what do we need to do? We need to look up, we need to look out, and we need to look in. Well, that's part of this whole thing too, with connecting with your higher self. You know, when you're looking up and you're looking for and toward God. When you're looking out, you're saying, I need to connect with my community, because, you know, that's in our DNA. That's how we were created, to have this connection. And then when we're looking we're looking in at this beautiful self of ours, this soul of ours that needs that connection with our higher self. And it's about looking. And I also would add to that expectation that when you look up, that when you look out, and when you look in, that you're going to get an answer. You're going to get something from that connection. I've noticed that when I put my expectations out, like, this is what I'm trying, this is what I want to do, this is where I'm starting, this is what I'm looking for, that those things come out. Prayer requests, for heaven's sakes, right? Or can I ask a favor to a friend? Looking in is just like, my expectation is that I'm going to connect with myself, my higher self. And you'll see it because you're looking for it. Number 5 is again, expectation. Our expectation should be that we will see, that we will hear, and that we will know when we see it. That there will be that clicking in. Remember, we talked about that on Wise Women's Wednesday, how to click in and just make everything go, aha. You know, we live for aha moments. But I believe that we bring in aha moments when our brains, the reticular activating system, is out there looking for the ahas, looking for the connection, looking for the clicks. And even with your higher self, expect that that's going to become easier. Expect that your meditation is going to bear fruit. And so is your prayer. And so is this whole idea that this beauty that is inside is going to come out. Because that's where your higher self really shines. It's not just for you. It's for mankind, for heaven's sakes, womankind. It's for others. It's so that you have service in this world. You have purpose in this world. That connection brings you to the core of who you really are and allows you to really be mission-oriented and purposeful and have a life that has meaning, deep meaning, that you can connect with, giving you joy for being here. On number 6, I have is mindfulness as a practice. You know, it's not just enough to say, well, oh, here's my meal and I've got my mindful mug and, oh, I'm going to be mindful at the dinner table. Good. We need to be mindful about everything, you know, practically. I mean, you don't need to be, I've said this before, mindful about toilet cleaning necessarily, but being mindful means that you are in your life minding what's going on. Remember what Bruce Lipton said, you know, the biology of belief doctor? I love him. And he said that we live 95% of our time in our subconscious. So it's akin to getting in the car, driving, and then getting out of the car and saying, oh my gosh, I don't remember driving here. We weren't experiencing the drive at the time because we were in the back of our head going blah, 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 blah. And most of us live our lives blah, 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 and not living in the prefrontal cortex where we're present. And being present in your lives connects us with our higher self, I believe, because it's putting things out there that says, this is how I want to live. You know, this is how I want it to go. So mindfulness as a practice is purposefully deciding and then purposefully doing things that provide and give mindfulness to the activity that you're doing. When I'm working out, you know, and I told you that, you know, I went and saw a doctor, had a big blood draw and getting all my hormones checked out and everything like that. But, you know, I've noticed that my workouts, the way that I work out, I figured like 10 years ago, I would have been boom, boom in shape, just like this. It's taken me a lot longer now. But my mindfulness, it's shifted too, because I've started thinking, well, what do I need to do? And I started thinking now that, when it's, I'm doing exercise, and say it's like something like, a bicep curl, just something for easy. I'm thinking about my bicep now. I'm thinking about, as I'm doing this, I'm getting microscopic, I know the science behind it, right? The little microscopic tears in my muscle. I know that that's happening. I'm like, go, bring it on. Let's do this, because it's in the rest the next day that it builds back stronger. That's how you build muscle. And so I'm really mindful about that particular muscle that I'm working. And then same thing when I'm doing tricep kickbacks or, any kind of squats or whatever, I'm thinking about every single time, getting mindful about that muscle. So mindfulness in the practice of your exercise, mindfulness in the practice of your food, mindfulness when you're having a conversation with someone you love. It just changes everything, because it brings you really presently into it. Did the doc tell you blinking caused you fatigue? No, but I'll tell you, I didn't even see the doc yesterday. All I saw was the phlebotomist. You know what that is, right? Just take it out right here. There, that's where it was, right there. Take out that blood. That's all I did. So I go back on Tuesday, and then the rest of it, the fatigue. I just want to make sure, I feel like my thyroid's a little off. I can tell what that feels like. So I did the full thyroid panel. And by the way, this place, it's called Blue Sky Medical, for if anybody who lives in North Carolina. I don't know if they have it anywhere else, but the inexpensiveness of the blood tests, unbelievable. And full everything, full panel, thyroid, antibodies, and TSH, of course, all of that, CBC, full female panel, all the things. And it was just like really inexpensive. If I had done that myself and just bought the tests on Life Extension, that's where I usually get my own blood tests, it would have been $600. So yeah, go do it. $70, that's a big deal. But mindfulness as a practice, when we put mindfulness into everything on purpose, it is for purpose, because we start to see and get back in return a richer relationship, better understanding of what's going on in our bodies, and so much more present with everything. It really is something, and maybe I should be mindful when I'm toilet cleaning. I don't know. I prefer not to, because I really don't need to be talking about that experience more than I do. And I've talked about it enough. Let's just say that. And number 7 is, I love this part, is connecting with your heart and your mind. Have you noticed that sometimes your mind is saying, you should do this, 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 and this, and your heart's going, but I want to do this, or I want to do that. And obviously you're going 2 different paths, but what about when you connect these 2? When you're connected, heart and mind, and you're like fully in, that's when mindfulness really revs up. But it's also when the juiciness of your life really develops and becomes everything. It does. I believe that's part of our higher self, and that's part of the connection. And when we connect heart, mind, body, and soul, that's why we say that's what we're all about now. It's not about your jean size. It's not about the color of your lipstick. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about connecting the dots to your life, heart, mind, body, and soul. And I just want to give you a side note here, because I think this is so important, okay? And that is this. We need to remember that the last thing that grows on a tree is fruit. The last thing to grow on a fruit tree, rather, is fruit. It's the last thing to come. So be patient with this process. You don't become mindful all at one time as a practice. It's like, oh yeah, I want to be mindful with this, and I want to be mindful with that. It's from your journaling. It's from your goals, and Take Back Your Life journal. We do that. I wrote in there as one of my goals that I want to connect heart and mind with my most important relationships in my family, with Mark and with the kids. And when I'm mindful about that, I have noticed that my relationships have leveled up. That mindfulness is important. Otherwise, it's what Bruce Lipton says, subconscious, just getting through the motions, Can you imagine looking back and going, oh my gosh, 10 years have just flown by. I didn't even have a relationship with this man. I don't even have a relationship with my kids. We've just gotten by. I've just schlepped them to and from and gotten them into school and activities and, can you imagine? And that's not the kind of life we want to live if we want to be part of the high vibe tribe, right? No, we don't want to live like that. So connect to your higher self takes time. It takes practice. But I'm going to say this, it is worth it because you're worth it. Your higher self connection is everything. It's everything. Pema Chodron, if you've ever read any of her books, she's a very interesting woman. She became a monk and I think a Buddhist monk or whatever, but her practice of just constant meditation and whatever, she said, nothing goes away till it teaches us what we need to know. And I believe that when we are in our higher selves, we start getting to know what those things are that we need to know. We don't even know what those things are until we start this whole practice of connecting with our higher self. And your higher self connection is what all of us need so that we can learn what we need to know so that we can use that in our lives to have a better connection with everything. It's who we're meant to be, right? It's who we're meant to be. So remember that and remember whose you are. Remember who you are and remember whose you are. That's what is going to connect you to your higher self. There you go. Peace be with you.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.